Welcome to this YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to talk about kites. So before starting this video, please like this video, and subscribe to this channel for our future updates. A kite is a tethered heavier-than aircraft with wing surfaces that react against the air to create lift and drag forces. There are also lighter-than-air kites. A kite consists of wings, tethers and anchors. Kites often have a bridle and tail to guide the face of the kite so the wind can lift it. Some kite designs don't need a bridle. Box kites can have a single attachment point. A kite may have fixed or moving anchors that can balance the kite. The Yokkaichi Giant Kite Festival is held every July in Higashiomi, Shiga, Japan. Star-shaped kite above a meadow south of Hockenheim. This sparless, ram air-inflated kite has a complex bridle formed of many strings attached to the face of the wing. The same principles of fluid flow apply in liquids, so kites can be used in underwater currents, but there are no everyday uses as yet. Man-lifting kites were made for reconnaissance, entertainment, and during development of the first practical aircraft, the biplane. History. Kites were invented in Asia, though their exact origin can only be speculated. The oldest depiction of a kite is from a Mesolithic period cave painting in Muna Island, southeast Sulawesi, Indonesia, which has been dated from 9,500 to 9,000 years BC. It depicts a type of kite called kaghati, which are still used by modern Muna people. The kite is made from kalope, forest tuber, leaf for the mainsail, bamboo skin as the frame, and twisted forest pineapple fiber as rope, though modern kites use string. In China, the kite has been claimed as the invention of the 5th century BC Chinese philosophers Mozi, also Mo Dai, or Mo Ti, and Lu Ban, also Gongshu Ban, or Kungshu Fan. Materials ideal for kite building were readily available, including silk fabric for sail material, fine, high-tensile strength silk for flying line, and resilient bamboo for a strong, lightweight framework. By 549 AD, paper kites were certainly being flown, as it was recorded that in that year a paper kite was used as a message for a rescue mission. After its introduction into India, the kite further evolved into the fighter kite, known as the Patang in India, where thousands are flown every year on festivals such as Makar Sankranti. Kites were known throughout Polynesia, as far as New Zealand, with the assumption being that the knowledge diffused from China along with the people. Anthropomorphic kites made from cloth and wood were used in religious ceremonies to send prayers to the gods. Polynesian kite traditions are used by anthropologists to get an idea of early, primitive, Asian traditions that are believed to have at one time existed in Asia. Morro Bay, California Kite Festival 2014. Kites were late to arrive in Europe, although windsock-like banners were known and used by the Romans. Stories of kites were first brought to Europe by Marco Polo towards the end of the 13th century, and kites were brought back by sailors from Japan and Malaysia in the 16th and 17th centuries. Conrad Kaiser described dragon kites in Bellefortis about 1400 AD. Although kites were initially regarded as mere curiosities, by the 18th and 19th centuries they were being used as vehicles for scientific research. In the 20th century, many new kite designs were developed. These included Eddie's Tailless Diamond, the tetrahedral kite, the Rogallo wing, the sled kite, the parafoil, and power kites. Kites were used for scientific purposes, especially in meteorology, aeronautics, wireless communications and photography. The Rogallo wing was adapted for stunt kites and hang gliding, and the parafoil was adapted for parachuting and paragliding. Kites are now mostly used for recreation. Lightweight synthetic materials, ripstop nylon, plastic film, carbon fiber tube and rod, are used for kite making. Synthetic rope and cord, nylon, polyethylene, Kevlar and Dyneema, are used as bridle and kite line. Designs often emulate flying insects, birds, and other beasts, both real and mythical. The finest Chinese kites are made from split bamboo, usually golden bamboo, covered with silk, and hand-painted. On larger kites, clever hinges and latches allow the kite to be disassembled and compactly folded for storage or transport. Cheaper mass-produced kites are often made from printed polyester rather than silk. Modern aerobatic kites use 4 lines to allow fine control of the kite's angle to the wind. Traction kites may have an additional line to depower the kite, and quick-release mechanisms to disengage flyer and kite in an emergency. Practical uses. Kites have been used for human flight, military applications, science and meteorology, photography, lifting radio antennas, generating power, aerodynamics experiments, and much more. Military applications. Kites have been used for military purposes in the past, such as signaling, delivery of ammunition, and for observation, both by lifting an observer above the field of battle, and by using kite aerial photography. Kites were first used in warfare by the Chinese. During the Song dynasty, the fire crow, a kite carrying incendiary powder, a fuse, and a burning stick of incense, was developed as a weapon. Kites were also used by Admiral Yi of the Joseon dynasty, 1392–1910, of Korea. During the Japanese invasions of Korea, 1592–1598, Admiral Yi commanded his navy using kites. His kites had specific markings directing his fleet to perform various orders. One of Cody's manlifter kites in 1908. In the modern era, the British Army used kites to haul human lookouts into the air for observation purposes, using the kites developed by Samuel Franklin Cody. Barrage kites were used to protect shipping during the Second World War. Kites were also used for anti-aircraft target practice. Kites and kitoons were used for lofting communications antenna. Submarines lofted observers in rotary kites. Science and meteorology. Kites have been used for scientific purposes, such as Benjamin Franklin's famous experiment proving that lightning is electricity. Kites were the precursors to the traditional aircraft, and were instrumental in the development of early flying craft. Alexander Graham Bell experimented with very large man-lifting kites, as did the Wright brothers and Lawrence Hargrave. Kites had a historical role in lifting scientific instruments, to measure atmospheric conditions for weather forecasting. Francis Ronalds and William Radcliffe Burt described a very stable kite at Kew Observatory, as early as 1847, that was trialed for the purpose of supporting self-registering meteorological instruments at height. Radio aerials and light beacons. Kites can be used for radio purposes, by kites carrying antennas for MF, LF or VLF transmitters. This method was used for the reception station of the first transatlantic transmission by Marconi. Captive balloons may be more convenient for such experiments, because kite-carried antennas require a lot of wind, which may be not always possible with heavy equipment and a ground conductor. It must be taken into account during experiments, that a conductor carried by a kite can lead to high voltage toward ground, which can endanger people and equipment, if suitable precautions, grounding through resistors, or a parallel resonance circuit tuned to transmission frequency, are not taken. What do you think of our video? Which of the facts about kites shocked you the most? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.